Classic Restos is proudly brought to you by Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts. Hare and Forbes Machinery House, Pace Farm, Hero Hoists, and Martin's Panel Masters. Classic Restos has been entertaining you now for 11 years. And if you add all of the episodes together, over 540 have been produced. And so because of this 11-year span and hundreds of productions, chances are that you may have missed a few along the way. So this week, just for you, sit back because it's a Classic Restos flashback. Classic Restos, it's come a long way from people just like yourself at home that have been supporting and enjoying the show in over 5 countries. Anyway, here's the first bit. Moving through, time for Peter now. How are you, Peter?
Not bad, Fletch. How's yourself?
Good, thanks, mate. 1959, what is it?
Simca Vedette.
Wow. Okay, this is really good. You know, I get excited here because I'm in uncharted territory. You've got to educate me here as I go. All I do know is that the side valve V8 is Ford-based, right?
Yeah, it started out as Ford, but when Simca took over Ford in France, they actually metrified it a little.
Oh, that's a big word.
It is. Yeah, and the only things that actually interchange with a V860 is the heads and the inlet manifold.
Now, Peter, you're cheating a bit. You've got a hairdryer on top there, very discreetly done. Nice. Now, not a silly question, but does the old girl perform okay?
It certainly does, yep. Yes, it gives it a lot more oomph.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
What capacity are we talking? Are we in the early 3s?
No, the low 2s, 2.4.
2.4 litre?
2.4 litre.
2.4 litre side valve V8?
Yeah. Yes, it needed a bit of help.
Wow. The car itself, is it nice to drive, Peter?
It's like a 59 model car. Yeah, it is. It's all right, but yeah, it gets tiring after a while.
And Peter, got some fins out back. There's a bit of styling going on there.
Oh, you can't have a 60s or late 50s or 60s car without fins.
That's right.
It's just not on.
Good on you, mate. Thanks for bringing this car here today. It's cars like this that help to make the show. As I said, excellent variety. Peter, thanks again, buddy.
No worries, Fletch.
Here we have Lou. How are you, Lou?
I'm fine, thank you. Fletch?
That's good. How do you say Fletch in French? Fleche?
Fleche, perhaps, yes.
Flechu, what about flechon?
Oh, flechon.
Flechon. So, Lou, what's this mechanical contraption we got behind us here? It looks half military.
Well, it was originally comes from France. It used to be a garbage truck.
It used to be a garbage truck. Now it's a coffee van.
It's been transferred to coffee van to be around Melbourne. Yeah, my son does Pride and Joy.
Yeah.
Mark Ambrosini. Yeah, so it'll be around Melbourne. Great.
Lou, it's very neat. It's got that gunmetal finish. It looks good.
It looks really nice. He's really proud of it, and it's really good. Yeah, that's great.
I've said on many episodes of Classic Restos before, it's vehicles like this that have really copped a pounding during their lifetimes. I mean, they were commercial vehicles. They weren't meant to appear 40 years down the track at a car show.
Well, there we are. This is bringing it back to life to a new era.
So tell us the build time, Lou. How much work went into this? Was it a basket case when you first got it?
No, it was in good condition. We had to do a little bit of restoration on it, but yeah, it's coming really good. So.
You find any croissants under the driver's seat?
No, nothing under the driver's seat, unfortunately. No.
Nothing patisserie orientated?
No, it would have been nice, but no, that's right. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, that's great to see.
Lou, it's a great thing. What year model is it?
1970 model.
Wow, good on you, mate. Thank you, Lou.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you. Thank you again. Thanks.
There's no doubt about Victorians and their car events. Nothing is done in halves, full throttle or nothing. And if that doesn't float your boat, you might as well pack up your tools and go home, because these guys are fair dinkum. It's put on by the Geelong Street Rodders. They are family orientated, they're a professional group and do an incredible job. And just like other car clubs, their passion for our classic vehicles stands unsurpassed. The proceeds from the gates are off to charity Cottage by the Sea. This is Saturday night. The temperature is warm, the mood is right, and the atmosphere depicts a classic car owner's holiday resort. Because Queenscliff is jam-packed full of classic customs and rods, the street cruising is pure entertainment all on its own. This wonderful event is set in the picturesque seaside town of Queenscliff, Victoria, over 3 big days. So now it's time to strap yourself in and grab second gear as we take a closer look. The 2014 Queenscliff Rod Run comprises of guys just like this. How you doing, Roy?
Good. Yourself, Fletch?
Good, thanks, mate. Being a rod run, thought we'd start today's episode with one, 1932 Ford.
Yes, mate. Steel body, 32 rod. Bought it from Queensland.
Geez, mate, you did it in great time.
Yeah, we drove down from Dandenong to Queenscliff to have some fun and, yeah, have a good time.
Good on you, mate. Give us the rundown. Have you had to do much to the rod since you've had it?
Honestly, I haven't touched it. Haven't done a thing to it besides put the number plates on it that everybody loves.
Yeah. Now, tell us the story, mate. New wife. What's going on there?
The wife always says I put her second, so she bought me the number plates and they were available and she got them. Now they're on the car.
What a nice wife.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
I reckon, yeah. Well, you should hang on to her for another 6 months now, I reckon, because of that.
I should hang on to her forever.
Good on you, Roy. Now, mate, we look around the rod. What a nice thing this is. Beautiful interior. How does it... I mean, obviously, the comfort side of these things, I guess, is in another dimension, but in the comfort stakes, what's it like?
Honestly, it's not that bad because you don't drive them all the time, but they're not as bad as everybody thinks.
So no knees up around the chin?
Nah, definitely not. Heaps of room in it. Yeah. Heaps.
How does it perform?
Yeah, it's got a small block Chev in it. It's like a 13-second car. It's no animal, so just have some fun with it.
Mate, best of both worlds. You obviously like your Chevy V8 and you've got all the class of the old Ford.
Definitely, mate. Love the Chevs.
Look up cool in the dictionary and you'll see this bloke, Les, with his 1950 Mercury. Les, this is absolutely awesome. Tell us about the car.
1950 Mercury Custom, built myself. The 90 Toto grill in it, chopped 4 inches in the front, 5.5 in the back. Grafted on a 1972 Pontiac Le Mans chassis. Got 400 big block, turbo 400.
I just love what you've done here. I mean, even the air scoops in the front of the hood, the height of the car, the chop feature that you've done in the turret. I mean, mate, everywhere you look, it's just a sensational car.
It's on airbags at the moment, and they raise up when you start the key. It's a pretty cool car. I like it.
When you did the chop, Les, was it hard when it came to the glass department?
Well, the back, it had already been chopped when I got it, but they didn't do it right. And the back window didn't fit properly, so we had to redo it. So, apart now, it's pretty cool.
With the interior, what inspired you to go white?
Well, red car, white interior, and white scallop.
Yep.
Can't get any better than that, can you? It's all about how a car looks.
Yeah.
You know, if you're painting one colour, it wouldn't blend in properly, you know. It'd look too big, so it just breaks it up a bit, you know.
Tell us about the engine. What have you done there, Les?
It's got a 400 big block in it. It's all aluminium heads and puts out 440 foot-pound of torque.
Thanks for being on today, Shannon. It's a real credit to you that you can churn out a car like this and come up with such a design like this and the attention to detail, mate. Well done.
Thanks for the time sharing it with everyone.
No worries, mate.
Thank you. Bye.
We've always had a few cars. They're all special. The T-Bird.
Oh, that's mine.
The Combi for when we want to get away. The XR8.
It's going to be a classic.
They're all insured with Shannons,
We've also got Shannon's home and contents cover.
which helps protect our automotive collectibles, tools and memorabilia in the home and garage. If you're motoring enthusiasts like us, it's got to be.
Shannon's.
Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts. Call 13 46 46 for a quote.
How would you like to double your garage space and work on your cars easily? Well, bring in your own hero with a Lift King hoist. Easy to install models in 1, 2 and 4 post styles. Check the very nifty Spider 2500 portable mini scissor lift. Hero hoists are either Oz certified or carry the Euro CE, your guarantee of quality construction and reliability. I regularly stand under my Lift King, so when you need a bit of a lift, why don't you go stand under yours? Martin's Panel Masters has 3 modern accident repair centres. They service Melbourne's inner, outer east and the fast-growing southeast corridor. your vehicle will receive the best from state-of-the-art repair equipment, finished beautifully from computer-based paint mixing systems, finished in Australian compliant spray booths. Martin's Panel Masters, located at Ferntree Gully and Berwick, also Box Hill Panels. Hare & Forbes Machinery House has been family owned and operated for over 85 years, and it's easy to see why. Planning on welding? Look at these welding tables and clamps, air compressors and different air tools, sandblasting cabinets, through to spray guns. Everyone is welcome at Machinery House. There are competitive freight rates around Australia, and you can buy online at machineryhouse.com.au. So remember, Hare & Forbes has the range. One special association with Classic Restos would have to be with Frank Pace from Pace Farm Eggs. Now, Frank's a hell of a nice guy, and I bonded with Frank when we produced an episode at his house years ago for Classic Restos Trucks Edition. Now, here's a little, just in case you missed it. I have travelled to a private location, and to tell us more about what is looming around here in the yard at this present location is Frank Pace. Good morning, Frank. How are you?
Good, thanks, Fletch. How are you, mate?
Good, thank you, mate. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure, mate. It's a beautiful day, so we're doing something right.
Yeah, I just couldn't think of a better day than to get all the trucks out of the shed, eh?
Yeah, marvellous, mate. If they really appreciate it, and I appreciate it.
Frank, let's start with this 1968 behind us. Give us the rundown there.
Yeah, here we've got an old Dodge, which was what we always called them. They had a comma cab, very similar to the comma, and I had a few commas in my time. And this one came out with a V8 Cummins in it, a 160 horsepower Cummins in it. I bought it when she was basically clapped out in the early days, and rebuilt it and put it to work, and she carted a lot of eggs around New South Wales.
Frank, interesting how they shared cabs.
Yeah.
Same with Dodge and International.
That's right. I mean, there's so much sense in that, you know, the door handles, so many components that fit it.
So, what's the old Dodge like to drive?
Actually, it is good. It's a bit awkward to get in and out, but when you don't know any better, we loved it. And, you know, my son drove it, I drove it, we had people that worked for us drove it. Yeah. And whoever drove it never complained about it. Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, that's right, because they'd be showing the door. 1948 International. What a glamorous old girl this is. Look, we talk of bright work. It looks beautiful.
Well, at least they're like, you've got to remember that the K series came out during the war days, and the K series didn't have no chrome at all on them. They were all basically bought orders through the army, and then of course when the war finished, they started to smarten them up a bit. So the first thing they did is put a bit of chrome around the old K series, and they brought it out as a KB. And then in that series we had the K7, which was replaced by the 190s basically, right? And once again used them on interstate. They went up and down the highway. They weren't very famous for having brakes, but they had power. They were slow but reliable. Yeah.
Any of these trucks, when you go for a drive, I mean, there must be so many people that do make comment to you. I mean, I imagine if you pull up in this somewhere, I mean, you'd be almost swamped.
Absolutely. Doesn't matter where we go. If we pull up somewhere, people always got a good thing to say about the old trucks. Yeah. It's, I think the nostalgia of the old days, and people, especially older codgers like me, they look at it and they remember when they were going, and they say, gee, the old girl's looking all right.
Well, mate, the industry wouldn't be where it is today, mate, if it wasn't for the front runners such as yourself and people before you as well. I mean, it goes way back, doesn't it?
Oh, for sure, yeah. I didn't drive long distances, I just drove locally. But I always had a passion for the truck.
Starting the Lady Luck Festival for 2015, we have Greg. How are you, Greg?
Pretty good, Fletch. How are you?
Good, mate, good, mate. This car of yours, this 1976 Volvo, would have to go down as probably one of the biggest piles of junk here. What are you doing?
Oh, I'm looking after it for my granddad. It's his original car. This is the way he kept it. I'm just keeping up the story, you know.
Your grandfather had this car?
He did, yeah.
And he did all this stuff to it?
Oh, this is the way he had it from you. He ordered it from the factory like that. He's a bit of a rat, old granddad. We love him though.
Yeah. Well, as you would. I mean, who wouldn't love a grandfather that was that creative with doing a car such as this? I mean, seriously, there's not one angle of this Volvo that looks any good. Let's have a look at some of the opulent features on Greg's grandfather's car. Now, let's start with the bonnet emblem. Now, what's going on there, Greg?
Well, Granddad wasn't real pedestrian friendly, so he decided to put his own bonnet emblem on.
It looks like it'd cut you to bits.
That was the whole point, exactly, yeah. Yeah, the Star of Remembrance.
Goes for the spoiler up on top of the bonnet too, the beautiful cutout. The way that that's welded, it's just... it's a work of art, Greg.
It is, yeah. Granddad was an artist, and we respect that. It was special. We've left it the way he did it, in his memory.
Meet Alan Kempster, champion motorcycle rider, never declining, showing determination and guts, resulting in a cocktail of inspiration, and where the words giving up is not in his vocabulary. Alan is the left side, meaning he only has his left arm and his left leg. The right side was selfishly taken from him by a mindless and inconsiderate hit-and-run driver. Yep, you've got it, a bloody idiot at very least. And I am keeping my descriptive words tame for television. In 1990, Alan Kempster was doing what he loves most, like many, choosing to ride his bike on a public street. Seconds later, his life flashed before him as the motorist drove into him, and Alan was left for dead on the side of the road. His body in pieces, and in the eyes of one bystander, Alan was dead. You may not have heard of Alan Kempster before, but if you know your craft, you will have. Alan can easily become everyone's personal hero, a double amputee, determination that would put most to shame, and a lovable larrikin to go with it. You don't have to be Einstein to work out that this innocent chap loves and lives for his bike. Alan Kempster just didn't ride a motorcycle. Alan Kempster raced a motorcycle, and nothing was going to take that talent away from him. Losing 2 limbs is beyond comprehension to most, and many would have simply given up. After months in rehabilitation, Alan persevered and ultimately set out to resume his motorcycle racing efforts, rigging his motorcycle to have its controls installed on the left side. Now, with due respects, you may think you can ride, but try controlling your bike with everything one-handed: steering, clutching, throttle and braking. Alan convinced his motorcycle racing league to let him compete. Alan won his very first race. His racing number is 1/2. He uses a wheelchair to get around and also has a prosthetic right leg that gives him considerably more mobility. The loss of his right arm means that he has had to develop workarounds to enable him to do the things he wants to do without having to ask for help. Some of his solutions are innovative and some are just plain determination. After the mental scars of the accident had healed enough for him to think about it, the idea of riding a bike again began to form and saw itself gradually become a reality.
Motorcycle racing has been in my life a long time, as long as I can remember. I was born in a little country town in Kooyarrup. I'm one of 8 children, so we're a pretty poor family. And my first memory of motorcycling was in the car. And we used to go down the Bass Highway, and there used to be always motorbikes passing. Every time a motorbike used to pass, I'd be in the parcel shelf blowing raspberries, and they'd always give you a wave. And I thought these motorcyclists were pretty cool. And that was my first love of motorcycles. In the early 80s, I started doing a little bit of road racing, but I couldn't afford it. And actually went back on the road, and that's where I had my accident. Well, Fletch, some of the races and my first race that I've ever had was down here at Winton. I tried to join motorcycling clubs and everything else and find out about getting a licence with being disabled. Now, I asked a few questions and no one really took me that seriously. And on the licence form it said, do you have a disability that stops you from riding a motorcycle? So, of course, I filled out no. I went to my first race meeting, took the bike up to scrutineering, and the first thing they noticed was that it didn't have a throttle or front brakes on it. And they told me that you couldn't bring your bike up to scrutineering without any brakes and everything on it. So I actually showed them where the brakes were, because everything's on the left-hand side of the bike. I've got the clutch, brakes, throttle. And then they looked at me a little bit strange and thought, what's going on here? I actually pulled my leathers out of my bag, My leathers have only got one arm, one leg, and then they went, what the hell's going on here? So they had a good look over the bike. When I went out on my first race, all the officials were out on the track watching me, and it was quite an eventful event, actually. I won one of my races. I had a big crash in one of my others. So yeah, that was my first race back. But since then, I've done some major events all around the world. I've gone over to the Burt Munro Challenge over in New Zealand, down in Invercargill. And I was awarded the Burt Munro Challenge down there. I've also been over to Mugello, over to Italy. And I raced in the world's first all-disabled race over in Italy, where I came fourth. That was my first ride on a 600. Then I've also ridden a GSXR 600 at the MotoGP. So there's some of the major events that I've been to.
Alan, not only do you ride a motorcycle, you race a motorcycle, but you're not at the back of the pack. You actually win races as well. How do you find it with how competitive it is on the track? Other racers out there know their stuff pretty well. Do they give you a good run for your money?
Oh yeah, when I first started racing, a couple of guys didn't really trust me out there too much. You know, they thought I might have been a bit of a hazard. But once I started passing them and everything else, well, yeah, they treat me as any other rider nowadays.
Do you get scared out on the track?
Well, yeah, I do get nervous. I suppose if you don't get scared, there's something to worry about. As soon as you get on the bike, as soon as you close your visor, you forget about that, and you get into the race mode. Yeah, but if you're not scared, you're probably a little bit silly, really. I didn't set out to be an inspiration when I first started racing. I just set out to do what I love, you know. But what I tell people is just get out and try your best at whatever you love, you know. There's no use sitting in a rocking chair when you're 80 years old and going, what if, you know. At least I can sit back in a rocking chair when I'm old and go, well, yeah, I gave it a go.
My passion for cars began when Nana and Pop bought their new Toyota Crown. It was Nana's, really. She loved that car. We went everywhere in it. My passion now is just the same, even though my cars are a little different. I've still got Nana's car, couldn't part with it. And I reckon if she was here today, she'd be insured with Shannons too.
Call Shannons on 13 46 46. Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
How would you like to double your garage space and work on your cars easily? Well, bring in your own hero with a Lift King hoist. Easy to install models in 1, 2 and 4 post styles. Check the very nifty Spider 2500 portable mini scissor lift. Hero hoists are either Oz certified or carry the Euro CE, your guarantee of quality construction and reliability. I regularly stand under my Lift King, so when you need a bit of a lift, why don't you go stand under yours? Martin's Panel Masters has 3 modern accident repair centres. They service Melbourne's inner, outer east and the fast-growing southeast corridor. Your vehicle will receive the best from state-of-the-art repair equipment finished beautifully from computer-based paint mixing systems, finished in Australian compliant spray booths. Martin's Panel Masters, located at Ferntree Gully and Berwick, also Box Hill Panels. You know, being at the swap meet is about the characters that you meet. We've got more crap on the ground now. How you doing, Ash?
Yeah, good, mate. Fletch, we're taking it easy here today. It's beautiful weather.
Yeah.
And got a lot of good people coming through here today.
Absolutely. You're not working too hard, Ash?
No, mate. I try and take it easy these days.
Good for you, mate. Now, what do you got on the ground? What's going on here?
I've got a few HQ parts and HZ parts, a couple of VR Ute parts here.
Those springs over there, what are they out of, mate?
I've got HQ to WB 1-ton springs there on the ground, and got a HQ bonnet, and got some VR Maloo HSV rims.
Yeah.
Got plenty of parts here for your utes. Or
you got a heater box. You got a heater box over there on the ground as well.
Yeah, got a heater box, mate. We cover everything from the outside to the underneath to the inside.
You got the ground covered too, haven't you, Ash?
I try to. Try and make everyone happy, mate. Try and have a bit of everything for everyone.
How long have you been coming here to Junee, Ash?
I've been coming here 3 years now. It's been living here for 3 years, so I've been coming here ever since I've been here. Yeah. And no, she's a great little town.
Coming to these regional areas, it is great. The people are fantastic. And these swap meets, you just don't know what you're going to see. I mean, stuff gets pulled from sheds in the barns. It is a real mystery bag, isn't it?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of treasures in here, mate, that you just wouldn't realise they were here. But you'll soon find what you want. There's plenty of it.
Well, look, I tell you what, it's a restorer's dream. You've got to get to a swap meet. And, mate, you have fun here today, selling your bits and pieces. I hope you have a good day.
Yep, I'm going to enjoy it. This weather is beautiful. It's always nice here this time of year.
Righto, Ash, great catching up with you, mate. Make sure you clean up all your junk before you leave here today.
Yeah, Fletch, got to take the rust with me, mate. You know, keep it nice and tidy for next year.
Everyone's got to love a big tow truck. We've got Bob. How you doing, Bob?
Good. How you doing, Fletch?
I'm good. Now, you are the workshop supervisor here at John's, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, you've got some big toys going on here, Bob. We start here with the Peterbilt, a 25-ton truck. What can you tell us about this?
We got a 2015 Peterbilt 389 model, 25-ton wrecker box on the back of it. It does a lot of our light-duty towing and some recovery work with this truck. It has the Cummins ISX 500 horsepower engine in it, 13-speed Eaton transmission gearbox, 373 gear ratio in the rear of it. It'll run down the road 78, 80 mile an hour if you wanted to. We do try and abide by the speed limit, 70 mile an hour, but it will.
That's about 130 Ks at home, if you're wondering what that is.
And like I said, this truck here, it will handle, up to 75,000 pounds going down the road, no problem.
Moving on with another big toy. We've upped the ante a little bit now. We're into the KW. We've got the big Kenworth here. We've got double bogey. We've got a lazy axle. This is a big bit of gear. Now, this is the 50-ton truck, right, Bob?
Yes, Fletch. This is a 50-ton Century rotating unit on a 2015 T880 KW, 500 horsepower ISX Cummins motor in it, 13-speed transmission. It gets the job done.
You love saying that stuff, don't you?
Yes, yes. Big toys.
Well, I hope you've really enjoyed this week's Classic Restos flashback episode. And keep in mind that 280 episodes to date are awaiting you at the Shannons Club. Find out more information when you visit shannons.com.au. And as I say at the end of every episode of Classic Restos, until next week, no matter where you're watching the show from, please ride and drive safe. I'm Fletch, and I thank you very much for watching. You can like and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Classic Restos TV and watch catch-up episodes at shannons.com.au. Classic Restos is proudly brought to you by Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts. Hare and Forbes Machinery House, Pace Farm, Hero Hoists, and Martin's Panel Masters.